All right, my name's Tim Lee. Welcome to Legacy Studio. The glamour stuff of getting to travel and go around different places around Montana and other states to do caricatures, that's always the beautiful part. But we got to come back to square one here, and I got to show you one of the most frustrating things that I deal with, which is one of the reasons why I don't charge cheaply to do this. And it's not cheap to have someone else do it either. So today I'm talking about custom paper design. If a client wants custom paper instead of my branded paper, my self-branded paper, then I have to design it for them. And then I come down with this very frustrating situation. So I have a design on my computer right now here, and the blue in that is quite a bit brighter than all of these attempts that I've made. And not only that, but sometimes you just don't get lucky in setting up your printer, and I factory reset my computer and forgot all of my settings, so I've had to go through and write them all down. I've spent several hours so far trying to get the color in my computer, and my wife is texting me, I apologize. I'll rest my case. To try and get the color on my computer screen to match the color on the paper. This is a constant battle, and it's normal because you're usually designing RGB on the computer, but you're printing CMYK. I've worked with printers for years. I hate them. And my printer, which does a really reasonable job in printing photographs and things like that, the Canon Pro 100, which is the most affordable and oldest model of the photo printing line that I could get, this is the guy that I've used for 90% of my stuff. But still, the main struggle and the main frustration, color matching. And when a client is paying a good chunk of change for me to custom make them paper with their logos on it, I want it to look right. And, of course, there's a lovely little error on the screen right now that adds ever so slightly to my frustration. So now I have to get in here and change out my whatever you call these things. Now, frankly, even when everything is going correctly, it takes forever to print these papers up. It takes forever because you got the printer set on a very high setting. It takes forever. And so this turns into a half of a day project to do this. And unfortunately, even right here, I have 4 pieces of paper here printing on both sides. And I know I've already thrown away a sheet. So 5 pages of paper that I've had to waste to do this. Now, I'm using Bristol vellum surface paper, and then if I'm not using vellum surface, I'm using smooth surface. They both have their benefits. They both have their benefits. They both do a good job, but they both have their cons as well. Printing through my printer here doesn't give us the highest quality image. I love you, baby. I'm a little busy. But when it comes down to it, I have to figure this out and get this printing because, frankly, I'm wasting an awful lot of time troubleshooting when this needs to be something that just simply works. The other frustration that I deal with, and this is going to be with any printer, frankly, especially if you're going to go the DIY route, is you have to learn to maintain your printer and especially refill its cartridges if you want to save money. I go through a company called Precision Colors, and with this printer, the Pixma Canon Pro 100, the yellow is very specifically yellow that you have to use or else it's going to clog up the lines of the printer. Very frustrating stuff. So today, I need to get in here and change out the black cartridge, which is not just changing out the black cartridge. I also need to reset the cartridge, refill the cartridge, so it's ready to go next time I do this again. So there's a process. It's a lovely process. It takes forever. And if I didn't mention it already, it's incredibly messy. This is the reset system. You have to utilize this to reset the cartridges or else the printer is going to think that they are empty even though you've refilled them. Have I already prepped this? No. So I can look here and see that I've used this cartridge, I've taped it off, and I could turn it into a replacement cartridge if I wanted to, but it requires drilling, pulling out certain things, and remodifying all this. This is quite a pain to take care of, so I'm not going to worry about that. Looking to see if there's anything else, doesn't look like it. So I'm going to check my backups now and see if I have anything in there. Here are refill syringes. I have each one marked, and for whatever one I'm going to replace and refill, I'll need the syringe that I've used previously for that. I have spare rubber bands to tape this to the bottom of a used cartridge. Spare plugs, which thankfully I haven't needed to use these because the plugs that I've put in hold their place. And here's what I'm looking for. Do I have a spare black cartridge already filled? Looks like I do. So this one I've already refilled and already reset, so that's great. So now I have to do this rather carefully and quickly. So let me start by getting out a rubber band or two here. And by the way, this ink must be incredibly toxic because it's incredibly itchy if you get it on yourself. So try not to touch the ink because that's regrettable. So what we'll do here is we'll pop this little thing on here just to block the thing from dripping, and then I'll just take some rubber bands here and rubber band this in place. I think these are like hair ties, like little rubber band hair ties, but they've worked reasonably enough for this purpose. Oh, and once again, I already made a mistake. I can't reset it with this on, so let me do this. Take these off. There we go. Come here to my reset unit. I'm going to slide this in, set it down, and now that means it's reset. I'll do it one more time just to play it safe. Okay, so that's reset. So now I'll be able to use this cartridge over without any drama of the printer not recognizing it as a new cartridge. I mean, even the idea of taking this cartridge off of the new one, it can be a very messy process, and getting it inserted into the printer without drippage. So, got some paper towels here. Let me move this out of the way. All right, hope you can see all this. Yeah, looks like you can. Maybe I'll zoom in down here a little bit closer. Okay, so here we go. Moment of truth. Try not to squeeze it. Oh, snap this guy off. Please don't drip, please don't drip, please don't drip. Slide it into place, clip it in, and I'm going to close this up. Okay, now I could put this one on here, so I think I'm going to do that. Take these guys off. There we go. Slide this through here and clip it on here. I like these clips because it sits upright. So now let's put this here. We'll pull off the plug, and then I got to go through my inks and find my black. That's gray. That's black. Okay. And look at this. I already have ink on me. I've barely done anything, and I already have ink on me. This is such a messy process. There's ink all over this. So here we go. Now, let's do this. Suck in some black ink into this reservoir. I don't go very high. You see it's just dripping out of there, so we're going to catch it and start filling up this container. And the thing is, as you fill it, oh, drippy, drippy, messy, messy. Okay, so this is going to start to go back down as it fills up the sponge in the backside. So we're going to wait for that sponge to absorb it, and then I'll be able to put more into the main container. Like I said, though, this stuff is really toxic. I should be wearing gloves because it'll make you itchy. Don't touch yourself in certain places. You'll be itchy all day long. My scalp is literally itchy right now. Try to get this ink off of here. Literally, you touch that to anything, it will ink it up like crazy. I mean, it takes nothing. This stays mega absorbent. So far, this looks okay. I'm going to suck in just a tiny bit more black. Dripping like crazy here. And insert into here. And top it up real careful like. There we go. Put the rest back in the bottle. Okay. Now we'll dry off the hypodermic needle. Get that all cleaned up. Recap it. I'll be able to use this again next time I need to reapply that ink. And we can close the lid on this. Now, the other fun part, which I've had some pretty serious drama with in the past, is you take this little plug and you put it back in here. And if you didn't overfill it, it should just squeeze back in. There you go. But if you do overfill it, it'll squirt it out and then make a mess, and then because you squeezed all of this, then it'll push out the other thing. It gets messy. And then this will now go into our box here of inks. That way, when I need it, it's already refilled and ready to go. Now I can get back to testing to get this working again. I sound like I'm complaining, which I kind of am. I just want to make a very clear point. This is not all roses. Things go wrong, and there is a back end to everything. Every good business requires dedication and going through the good times and the bad times. Okay, this is not living the best life. Sometimes overhead is fairly affordable, which is nice. Paper, depending on how much paper is costing these days. If there's a good sale at like Michael's, I'll buy in like pretty serious bulk. But then your bulk is severely depleted if you're going to do custom paper, because while it's great to have that excess bulk, now you have to print a certain amount of pages. Now I try to think, if I was to do a caricature every 3 minutes, how much paper would I need for a 2-hour or 3-hour gig? And so that means I would print that much in lines of paper. And so if I did one every 3 minutes, that's roughly about 20 sheets in an hour. So if I'm doing a 2-hour gig, I'm using 2 or 3. The gig I have coming up is a 2-hour, but they were doing a 3-hour and backed it up to a 2-hour. And I can see it possibly re-extending to a 3-hour. I want to make sure I have enough paper for them. So I'm paying $14 for a ream of 20 sheets, roughly, last time I purchased, I think. And so I'm going to spend the majority of my day setting this up, only printing a couple because it's very easy for the printer to fail in doing a print. And maybe printing 8 at a time, maybe even 5 at a time, depends. And jumping back and forth until this is working nicely for me. So I'm back to square one. I need to get, and I'm using up paper. I'm using up valuable paper, but I need to, because the texture of the paper is going to play a very important role. So I've been testing it on vellum, but I plan to use smooth surface paper instead of vellum. So I'm going to go ahead and try and print on one of these and see what the printer does. And because we're doing 11 by 14, it takes a lot of back-end setup to get my computer to be okay with printing this size paper. So let's see what we get. Did I mention that every time you replace the cartridge, it's a super long process for it to clean it? Very annoying. I mean, that line is so dark. It is a blue, but it's like a super dark blue versus what is shown on my computer here. And you can see it's just a lighter navy blue versus what I need. So this is mega dark, and it might just be that we have to deal with it. The other thing I don't like is you can see a texture in that line. It's not clean per se. I mean, it's very clean, but there's white dots all through it, which could be a DPI issue, could be a printer issue, it could be a million different things. And so there's a certain point in time that I'm just going to have to stop and accept it. And I'm sure I'm being far more picky than my client would be, but I want to meet their demands before they become concerned about those things. I don't want my client to be looking at what I'm bringing to the table that they're paying a lot of money for and being like, this isn't what I expected. Why is this so much darker than what your proof was? You know, and there's so many limitations and only so much that I can do, but I want to get it right for them. And so I put out the extra effort, and it costs me to do so. But a good quality product is worth the time invested. I hate this too. I hate when the printer does that. Darn. See how buzzy that looks? That's very frustrating. Try to make some more adjustments, maybe save the file differently, CMYK versus RGB, try to make some adjustments, just keep fighting with it. Unfortunately, I got somewhere to be in about 30 minutes, taking my truck in for an oil change. So there is a negative side to this. There is a lot of hard work behind the scenes. This is not an easy job. And sometimes you've got to troubleshoot your own problems and your own products. That's how it goes. I admit I'm feeling pretty smart right now. I have this, and I'm sizing it up by like 10% or 20% each time I print. So I wish I had done this a while ago. I'm totally going to remember this for the future. This is good. I have to live here in like 5 minutes, which stinks because I'm just so focused on this. And I feel like I'm getting a little closer. Sorry for the hiccups. At this point, I'm not asking for extreme perfection, just a little bit better quality. And I think the dots and lines in it, there's nothing I can do about that. That's the texture of the paper, I assume, or just the way this printer's working. But, oh, that looks so much closer to what I was hoping for. Oh, that color looks so much better. Unfortunately, this was all done by just twisting a couple knobs in the software to get where we are, but I'm really close to having this. Well, I hate that it's doing that, but I'll figure that out in a minute. I am thankful to say I think I got it as close as I can possibly get, and after a million prints and adjustments and notes and everything that I could think to do, I think I'm finally at a point where I'm semi-okay with it. And to show you what I did, the math is pretty basic. All I did here, and you're not going to be able to get away with this all the time, but in this situation, I think I'm going to be okay. I put a white layer over top this entire thing, and I changed its opacity to 25%, set to overlay. And if I toggle that on and off, you can see it just gives it that little gentle extra wash of blue, which hopefully means that it will trigger accordingly in the print. So yeah, it's still textured, not my favorite look, but it's closer than it was, and I think it will be worthy of what we're trying to accomplish. Yeah, still pretty unfortunate on the texture side, but I think that will do the job, and people will be too focused on the caricatures and hopefully be okay with this. This, though, is a little bit unfortunate. I'm hoping that not all my paper does that, but we'll find out. As you can see, though, this is taking its time. This is a very long and tedious process. So I print 10 pages at a time just to really make sure, because sometimes the printer won't catch the paper. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. So just really trying to baby this and make sure it does its job right. So I'll print these first 10. Hopefully I can adjust the paper so it doesn't get those strikes. And then keep going, because I have about 30 sheets of this to do. Actually, no, 80 sheets of this to do. 60 sheets of this to do. I might be a little tired. I've been working on this a while. So anyway, just a little behind the scenes story of some of the stuff that you are going to go through if you decide to go this route for custom paper. I do think it's worth it. The problem is it's expensive. Your time is invested. you're buying paper and you're buying ink, all of that is expensive stuff. Now, I've tried to find the most manageable means I can, and I would say it's still not all that manageable, but it is an extra touch. It does give you a couple extra bucks in your back pocket, but it does require a lot of time. So anyway, just food for thought as you continue your career in caricature. I want everyone to succeed here, and just show you the struggles. This isn't all a bed of roses. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.